crying.
Yeah.
So that's a necrotic love right there.
And this one was awesome. This was after a treatment that was a pretty wild treatment. Josh said after the treatment happened, it was like an exorcism went on, that the evil had left. And then this image showed up afterwards.
We've talked about this one before, and that was the heart. And what the emotion she was really processing was a lot of heartache she had been through. So we looked at this as like this was the light shining through at the end. So it was a really wild experience to watch what went on with her on the table, and then to see this afterward was pretty cool. Her partner actually framed this for her.
She framed it, yeah. We need to do something when we have one of these just awesome day experiences. We just need to look at blood right away. We've looked at blood before and after concerts. That's been fun. But it just usually looks cleaner and the cells look stronger and things like that. Yeah. But this was a new one.
Dad talks about the happiest that blood he'd ever seen was somebody who just spent a weekend together for the first time. Like they ran right to the mountains. They had a great time. They were in love, basically. The first few days of love is what he would call it, and it was the best blood he'd ever seen.
Nice, maybe. And then sometimes we do see happy white cells. We have a database.
We always take that as a good sign. In our database, we actually have a section for happy cells.
Yeah, happy cells. We see happy cells. We've seen them shocked also. Yeah. So we now discuss what Emoto did with water and how we see emotions in the blood. And this is a real thing. We know emotions affect us. Western medicine doesn't seem to really care about whether or not you're having a good day, or a bad day. But we know it's a huge thing to us. This was something that Michiko, you had said.
Yeah.
60 to 80,000 emotional experiences a day.
In one day.
And how many of them are negative?
Right. Do you know? Can you think of how much negative thoughts are coming out in one day?
It's amazing. It's like you read the paper, you're driving, oh no, someone in line at the grocery store. It's everywhere, right? So, and even things like this, you could feel anger radiating off somebody. This is Rupert Sheldrake with the morphogenic field.
What was the percentage of...
Negative?
Yeah.
Negative or is nothing important is about 80%.
Wow.
That's an average, depending on the person. It's of course different. But if emotions affect our health and our environment, we need to be changing that to 80 positive.
You got it. And it is really funny. I mean, you can sit next to somebody and just feel the anger. Right? Who's angry there, right? Now, if you look at this picture, one is angry. The reality is the less you respond to negative people, the more peaceful your life will become. Human nature is such that 1,000 good things happen, one bad thing, and we focus on that one bad thing. It's time to change our thinking a little bit.
You see the videos of people getting on the subway and they just start laughing. And within a few minutes, everybody on the subway is laughing. So that's how we're going to change things.
And the question is here too, Michiko, like what practices did Emoto do?
He was always saying that we should be loving each other, saying thank you to each other. Whatever we see, whatever we have, we enjoy it and be thankful and sending love. Well, he said the Creator is sending every being much love through sun ray. So what we should be doing is to receive God's love or Creator's love with 2 gratitudes. And then one will stay within and the other will be shifted to and given to my friend, dear friend Adam, and he will be receiving my love with 2 gratitudes. And one will stay within him and he will be giving love to the next person. So that will go all around the world.
The domino effect happens. And even though we're in Seattle and there's not a lot of sun, the sun still comes through. So, yes. So
and also we can appreciate rain, water that we have.
We can. So basically for Dr. Emoto, he said words are power. This is something that he practiced.
Exactly.
Did you ever hear him say a bad thing?
No.
Cool.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, awesome.
This has been coming into our practice a lot lately too, is with words are power. And we see a lot of people using herbs, and they're calling them antibacterial, antifungals. Well, nature does nothing in vain. That's not the way nature works. So just by calling it the antibacterial, and when the person ingests it, if they think it's an antibacterial, which means it's going to go after the germs that are there to help us, is that taking power away from the herb itself?
Exactly.
Just interesting things we've come across recently. We're trying to practice more of what we preach. So experiencing love and gratitude, these are things we can do. We can, and we'll talk about that in just a moment or two. Another thing that Dr. Emoto did that's awesome, and this is what Michiko is doing these days, the Emoto Peace Project.
Thank you.
Talk about that book. Tell us about what's going on here.
Okay. Well, in 2005, Dr. Emoto was invited to the United Nations, and at that time, the world was having this huge problem of one thing, water, and fighting again among countries and domestic violence also, and many problems. And then, so he said, well, he has the adults a picture book of Message from Water, but in that book, people can learn so much about what water is showing to us. So he said he would make this children's book and distribute to all children around the world, and that would be 650 million books.
Yeah, wow.
50 million children for free of charge, because that way they will grow up in 10 to 20 years and learn to live in harmony, appreciate water, and appreciate everything we have, and loving each other and being positive.
It's really awesome. So if you know his book, this is the children's version, and what it does is it teaches children how water is affected by emotions and words, and that we are mostly water. So it's teaching the young children to be nice to each other. This is our future. This is another one that gives me chills. I was an elementary teacher for a long time, and children are the future. This is where we need to be. When they learn this,
that amount of people, that's 10% of the world at that point.
Exactly.
and that's the
Right.
critical right. And he
Uh-huh.
spoke at the United Nations about this. So this is a big deal. The book is online even.
Online,
Michiko has them here, and Michiko, as you do this, basically, if schools invite you, you're traveling the world. She's traveling the world teaching children. So where have you been?
Where haven't you been?
Where haven't you
I was in San Diego at the two public schools just in March,
Nice.
and there were 180 school kids.
Neat.
They learned about this. I talked about this, showed many water crystals, and they were just so happy they learned. And whenever I talk about water and how we are water, and how emotions and love and using positive words are affecting ourself, our life, we are what we say, what we think. Then they just learn so much about themselves and how they can use their words. Some people I heard in Chile, one of the kids said, "Man, I didn't know water was so intelligent." And so I was so happy,
Water is life.
Yeah, water is life. So I've been going all around the world to possibly, everywhere, so that people can learn about this.
Brazil and Chile and Mexico and everywhere.
In Europe, everywhere.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
this is going to be addressing the bullying experience most definitely. And the reality is there is hope, okay? So there's things we need to do. Something I read recently is IKEA. Did you read about
IKEA, yeah, the plant experiment.
Yeah, they're putting plants in schools with recordings of one being bullied and the other one being spoken to nicely. And the kids are starting to see the bullied plant wither. So it's really interesting. There's a cool video on your website that
Right,
shows a
right,
plant
yeah, we
real
show that
time.
too.
Yeah. I didn't want to show that one because it's sad.
No,
to watch
it's
the
like
plant.
sad, and we're saying, "Oh, poor plant, being bullied." We shouldn't be doing that. But it was good that so many people learned about the power of words and consciousness.
Yes,
So
it's very powerful.
it's important.
So the reality is this. I think if Dr. Emoto had his way, he would make us practice joy. Right? Yes. A couple little things. This is interesting. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So if you vibrate at a joyous vibration, law of attraction happens, and you attract joyous people. If you're in a slump and you just mopey, well, that's what ends up attracting to you. Okay? So what do you do, though? This is a question we've asked people at our clinics when we had them open for years. Think about this. If you could be anywhere in the world doing anything at all, what would it be? Money is no object? Can you think of it? Raise your hand if you know where you'd go. Only a few people.
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
I ask it to every client we've had, and some people can't answer it. And when they asked me, I was stunned that I couldn't answer it at that point in time.
So
I did
think-
have one person recently, and it was really sad, where I said, she was younger, and I said, "What do you want to do when you get better?" And she says, "Don't go there."
Yeah, she won't go there.
She says that hope can be damaging.
There is no such thing as false hope.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. So if you could be anywhere in the world, yes. Did you figure something out? Anybody? Yeah. It's interesting because people think about that place for a second. Go there for just 1 second. I heard somebody sigh. You go to that spot, you know what you did? You just released the lungs, which help you process grief. We hold things in all the time. You're sad, go to a happy place. It's very therapeutic for you.
It's different for everybody.
Is that why we sigh so much when we're feeling sad?
I think so. I talked to Josh about this the other day, and it's like, huh, interesting. I definitely think so. And relief, you're stressed, something happens, it's like, oh, you let it out. Sense of relief. How often do people hold their breath? As a music teacher, I ended up writing it on so many people's papers. Breathe. When we concentrate, we hold our breath. I would watch kids. Notice when you hold your breath. It's really interesting how often we do that. This is the one we want you to do. It's your list of joy. Yes. 10 things that make you happy. It can be anything.
You're always surprised at what shows up on the list. So
Yeah.
this is something we give to all of our clients, a list of joy. And obviously for different people there's different things that we enjoy. But it's important to make a list and write it down. Because when you're having a bad day, there's always something on that list that you could be doing.
Yes. I talk about the epiphany I had in traffic one day. I could have been drinking a milkshake that whole time. There's me in traffic with my
He
milkshake.
texted it to me. He's sitting in traffic and he was so happy because he had his milk.
So I knew there's traffic. I'm going for the milkshake. I love traffic. Isn't that an interesting way to look at life? Yes, Olamar.
So what's the emotion when you're exasperated with somebody and you say,
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Olamar asks some of the best questions. We're gonna look into this one. Good question. So the thing is, anything. You can hang out with a friend. Josh's little friend. I mean, what is it? What is it that people can do? Go for a walk, read a book, do some yoga for a few minutes, call a friend. So what we did was I put a little list together. 5 senses. Use them to live in the moment. The people that live the longest. You've seen these videos. The old one's 106. She's playing the piano. She's having a blast. She lives in the moment. She's not thinking about the past. She's not thinking about the future. So what brings you in the moment? There are things that do that for us. Hearing. Now this one's interesting. As we're talking about love and gratitude and joy, what do we get joy out of? At the same time, what are we grateful for? This girl has been deaf since she was born. And if the video works, it won't. And back to, it worked from before. And come on.
There you go.
There we go.
Keeping. So now technically your device is on. Can you tell? Oh, that's exciting.
It was the first word she's ever heard.
Here, you can put it down for a second. Just get used to the sound. What does it sound like?
First time she's heard her own voice. Right.
I want to hear myself cry.
Doesn't want to hear herself cry. Yes. Should we be grateful that we
Can you hear me? And you hear your voice?
Yeah. That conversation I had with Rhea. Those people that say, would you rather lose your sight or
No,
your
not
hearing?
really.
I'd rather not think about it.
My laughter sounds loud.
Laughter
You'll
sounds
get
so
used
loud.
Ear.
What's that?
What did she put
She had the receiver. It was a new hearing aid, and it was the receiver that she was just holding.
Cochlear
The whole
implants,
time. Yeah, so it was an implant of sorts. But first time she'd ever heard it.
Simple things we take for granted.
Music. Music is a big deal. Oh, and the music that makes you happy. There's songs that make you cry. There's songs that used to make you cry and they don't make you cry anymore. And there's songs that you've heard for years and all of a sudden it makes you cry. That's pretty interesting. Me, heavy metal still makes us happy. Somewhere in this book, yeah. This has to be on tape, right? Heavy metal music with destructive lyrics. That's
That's
right.
the issue.
Josh and I, we love heavy metal. We're the happiest people you'll meet, right? It's a way for us to release frustration and aggression.
But the
and,
lyrics, there's a difference between
Yeah.
some of the music we listen to and some
Yeah.
heavy metal that it's angry.
Right. And the reality is the heavy metal places we go to, those shows, are some of the happiest places we've ever been to. Happiest, scariest people you'll ever meet. We won't mention names, but yes.
I used to wake up in the morning, this was on Adam's recommendation, you gotta have your happy playlist in the morning. So I always put on my happy playlist. So when I stole my bird, I'd actually wake up in the morning, I'd put a Weird Al Yankovic video on. And he was dancing with Donny Osmond, which was just hilarious. And me and my bird would dance, and that was the first 10 minutes of my morning.
Yeah. Your day can go anyway. Joe Dispenza says your mind lies to you first thing in the morning more than any time of the day, so start it off right. Put on some happy music and get on with your day. This one was kind of a cool quote from Einstein. If I were not a physicist,